If you're planning on buying any cards from TCG Player, make sure you use our affiliate link right here in the description of our video to help support the channel. It's the best way to do it and it's free. Looking for PTGO codes? Potown Store has all the latest sets and promos instantly delivered to your email. You can use Tablemon code when checking out for 5% off. Card Market is Europe's largest online marketplace for Pokemon cards. Whether you're looking for sealed product or singles, vintage or the latest sets, just follow the link in the description to find what you need. This video is sponsored by the Pokemon TCG deck building website PokemonCard.io. Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video here at Tablemon. Thank you so much for tuning in. So this weekend we had a humongous tournament. The Kyoto Champions League featured over 3,000 players, I believe. Let me get that specific number. It was one of the biggest tournaments to date. 2,950 players participated in this best of one tournament, where every player who had a 7 to day 1 record made it to day 2, and then they played elimination until all the way to the finals, where Regigigas ended up being the champion deck, defeating a Lugia deck in the finals. And in top 4 we had a Kyogre Lost Box and an Eternatus VMAX deck, which is very surprising. Now the Regigigas deck that won is the following list. It does feature a lot of consistency, nothing super special. The triple Regieleki, of course, is pretty good against Lugia decks, especially if they don't have Dunsparce going. The finalists did have Dunsparce, but the variants in best of one, definitely something to keep in mind. 4 Path to Peak is also very good in the current format. Surprised not seeing a third Regigigas for the Mew matchup, but clearly this worked well for the Japanese player that won the whole event. Interesting things to note and differences from this side of the pond. We have copies of Boss's Orders and Escape Rope. Usually we see Yellhorn in this sort of Regidex to try and beat Ice-Cube that way. We don't know, or I don't know how prevalent Ice-Cube was throughout the whole tournament, but maybe it's not an issue in Japan. And with stall decks not being super viable or super great in a best of one scenario, then the prevalence of Ace-Q is definitely less good. We do have Serena and Research, of course, to help draw cards. Serena also provides the gusting effect, but Boss's Orders allows you to directly take down the Dunsparce or the Manaphy, protecting your opponent's Pokemon along with plenty other threats, right? Trekking Shoes provide consistency. The double Heavy Ball, I think it's something very interesting. It's not something we see often in our side of the field. However, in such a large tournament, we're going to be playing so many matches, it makes sense to have double Heavy Ball because it makes checking for prizes less tedious, and therefore there's less tournament exhaustion throughout the day, right? Because you're not trying to figure out your prizes all the time. But once you find that Heavy Ball, then, or the earlier you find the Heavy Ball, the easier it is to just know exactly what's priced rather than trying to figure it out throughout the first few searches. So I really like that inclusion, and of course it helps out with any awkward pricing situations. But outside of that, the deck is very standard. Like I said, surprised there's not like triple Regigigas, especially with only 3 ordinary rod and only 1 extra Regi. That feels a little risky, but clearly it worked out. Now the second place list for Lugia featured as much consistency as you can imagine. I believe this list is 1 or 2 cards different from Tord Raklev's LAIC champion list. Tord did not play Crobat and did not play a V-Guard Energy, and instead played an extra Research and some other card that I can't quite remember exactly what the difference is right now. Yeah, I'm not sure what the replacement for the Crobat would be, or maybe I'm misremembering. But anyways, this is as standard as Lugia gets, as powerful as the deck gets, with all the variety in attackers with Stoutland and Yveltal and Rain and Charizard. You have access to Luminion to search your deck. For resources, you have Collapse Stadium, Lost Vacuum, and Pumpkin to counter Path to a Peak. You have V-Guard Energy to help you out in surviving hits. You have the Auroras to power up your Evoltals and your Charizards. And of course, you have your Arceus to set up. Dunsparce and Manaphy to protect your Pokemon and your bench. And Stoutland V to get extra prizes with its double dip fangs attacks. So I'm really curious what the change is. I'm really misremembering what the extra card. I'm gonna go ahead and check, since I do have the list open now. So, oh, Oranguru. There's no Oranguru, and there's a fourth research, so a little bit lower on the consistency. I do like Oranguru for the idea of protect against opponent's Marnies and also putting an energy back that you might need to power up with Arceus from your hand. Arceus from your hand, but clearly this worked for the Japanese player. It's like neither of those changes the consistency too much, and switching a research for a Crobat is also sort of similar-ish in a way. So pretty cool to see this concept, and of course Lugia being as powerful as ever, even in Japan. Next up, for the top 4 list, the Lost Box deck does feature Kyogre and a wide array of attackers, including a single Cramorant, a single Sableye, a single Kyogre, and a Zygarde. The Zygarde with the core Avenger attack does 80 damage plus 80 more damage if your opponent has more prize cards than you have. That card is a perfect counter to the Stoutland. After it has taken 2 prizes on you, then you respond with the Zygarde, and that allows you to knock out the Stoutland with a single prizer rather than having to use the Raikou as your attacker. You do threaten the bench quite a bit with your Kyogre and your Raging Greninja. Kyogre is of course the finisher, and any deck that doesn't play Manaphy will not have a good time against this deck, but a well-timed Manaphy can also be this deck's demise for sure. And this deck does play a brand new card that we have yet to receive in this side of the pond. As you can see on the screen, it's the Sky Seal Stone. This card, with its ability Start Order, during this turn, if your opponent's active Pokemon V-Star or V-Max is knocked out by damage from your basic Pokemon V's attack, then you take 1 more prize card. So you need to combine this card very specifically with a Raikou attack, but if you do and you get a knockout, then you get either 3 prizes of a V-Star or 4 prizes of a V-Max, which is really powerful and really good. And then in top 4, we had a very surprising Eternatus deck. Eternatus has been getting a few results here and there, and now it's gotten this big result. Eternatus does do a lot of damage, up to 270, which can be enough to 1KO a lot of Pokemon. It features basic energy, so it can abuse Temple of Sinnoh. And of course, there's Galarian Weezing with its neutralizing gas ability, shutting off every ability from your opponent, which is pretty fantastic. It even features a copy of Crobat VMAX to potentially switch into the Galarian Weezing and play a little bit of that game. It features the Radiant Hisuian Sneasler as well to increase the damage that your opponent takes from poison, whilst adding as a dark Pokemon for your damage output, increasing the damage, the poison damage from Weezing from 4 damage counters to 6, and the Crobat VMAX damage from 1 damage counter poison to 3. So really cool to see. Also disruptive with the Marnies, has protection against Lugia with the Temple of Sinnoh, like I mentioned, but also the big parcel. Features double boost shake to be able to evolve into Galarian Weezing as well. If need be, features double for a Seal Stone as well to have access to those cards. So going first can be really good. Going second, you can also get that turn 1 Weezing potentially going with the Ascension from Coughing. So there's Denial, there's high damage output, there's 1KOs, and there's Special Energy Denial right now, which of course is very impactful and very good. So these are the results from the tournament this weekend. Really cool to see this humongous tournament happen. Like I said, 2,950 Masters players. I'm not sure actually if it's just Masters of its all age divisions, but I can only imagine that's only the Masters number. So really cool to see. Let me know if you'd like to also know about the expanded tournament that happened as well at the Kyoto Champions League. Not as big as the standard one, of course, but still some interesting results to see there. What do you think? Do you think this will have an impact on this weekend's regionals in Texas? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.